The Galactic Council chambers had never witnessed such silence. Where once the assembled representatives of 12 species had debated with the confident arrogance of the powerful, now they sat frozen, watching the holographic display that showed humanity's return. Admiral Zeftar's forearms trembled as he adjusted the viewing scope. "Impossible," he whispered through his translator unit. "The scans show 3,000 vessels, all human design, but the technology readings are off the charts." Counselor Vexani, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's lights into nervous patterns, leaned forward. "How many humans did we exile?" 20 million? They couldn't have built this in 50 years. It's mathematically impossible. "You underestimated them once before," came a gravelly voice from the back. Elder Kortham, the oldest member of the council, had lived through humanity's first contact. "I warned you then. Humans don't break the way other species do." The central hollow projector crackled to life, displaying the face that had haunted the council's collective nightmares for half a century. Alexandra Chen, once Earth's representative, once the bridge between humanity and the galaxy, once the woman they had condemned as a war criminal and exiled with her entire species. She looked exactly as she had 50 years ago, which should have been impossible. But then humans had always been impossible. "Esteemed Council," Alexandra's voice carried across the chamber with Arctic politeness. She wore something that made several council members recoil. A crown made from the bones of various alien species, each one representing a world that had fallen to her armada during humanity's long exile. "I trust you remember me." The crown caught the light, and Zeftar recognized fragments of Corvani exoskeleton, Vexani crystal formations, and worst of all, pieces of his own people's calcium carbonate shells. "You exiled humanity for defending ourselves," Alexandra continued, her image towering over the cowering council members. "You called us savages for refusing to surrender our colonies to the hegemony expansion. You labeled us war criminals for fighting back when your peacekeeping forces opened fire on civilian transports." Vexani found her voice first. "Chen, we can discuss terms." "Terms?" Alexandra's laugh was like breaking glass. 50 years ago, I stood in those very chambers and begged for terms. I showed you evidence of hegemony atrocities. I pleaded for protection for human civilians. Do you remember what you told me?" The silence stretched until Elder Kortham spoke. "We told you that humanity's aggressive nature made coexistence impossible. We said the galaxy would be safer without you." "Exactly." Alexandra's smile was sharp enough to cut steel. "So we left. 20 million humans cast out into the void with nothing but our ships and our fury, but you made one critical error in your calculations." She gestured, and the display changed to show star charts marking human expansion through uncharted space. Red dots indicated conquered worlds, hundreds of them. "You forgot that humans don't just survive in hostile environments. We thrive in them. You exiled us to the galactic rim, where no civilized species dared venture, where ancient machines still functioned, where dead empires had left their weapons behind." The crown on her head seemed to grow heavier as she spoke. "We found the predecessor vaults. We learned from species that your ancestors exterminated. We discovered that this galaxy has seen this pattern before. A council of civilized races that grows complacent, that drives out anyone who threatens their comfortable hegemony." Admiral Zeftar's translator crackled with his horror. "The predecessor technology is forbidden. The treaties you wrote," Alexandra cut him off. "Treaties humanity never signed. Treaties designed to prevent anyone from becoming powerful enough to challenge your rule. But there's something else you never understood about humans." The display shifted again, showing massive construction yards in the dark between galaxies, where human ships had built something beyond the Council's comprehension. "We don't just adapt to our environment. We remake it. Every world you thought was worthless, we terraformed. Every dead system you ignored, we brought to life. Every extinct species whose bones we found, we honored by taking their knowledge and making it our own." She gestured to her crown again. "These aren't trophies of conquest. They're memorials. Each bone represents a species you drove to extinction or exile, just as you tried to do to us. The Corvani, who questioned your expansion policies. The Methtar Collective, who refused to share their healing technology. The Zendai philosophers who dared suggest that might didn't make right." The council members began to understand the true horror of what they faced. This wasn't just a human fleet seeking revenge. It was an alliance of the galaxies forgotten and exiled, led by a woman who had spent 50 years learning their stories. You have 36 hours to dissolve the council and surrender your authority to a new galactic government, Alexandra announced. One where every species has a voice, where expansion doesn't mean extinction for the natives, where strength serves justice instead of convenience. Vexani's crystalline form flared with desperate anger. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy. We have defenses, allies, Alexandra corrected gently. Your hegemony allies are currently dealing with their own problems. It's amazing how many extinct species left behind automated revenge protocols, just waiting for someone with the right access codes. The display showed system after system going dark throughout hegemony space. As for your defenses, Alexandra's smile turned predatory. Tell me, how many of your defense stations were built using predecessor technology? Technology that responds to the original command frequencies? Frequencies that we've spent 50 years learning to replicate. The Council's remaining composure crumbled as their own defense networks began powering down across the galaxy. 36 hours, Alexandra repeated. After that, we demonstrate what humanity learned in exile. We learned that the universe doesn't owe anyone mercy, but it does respect strength. We learned that the only real crime is letting evil flourish unopposed. And we learned that sometimes the only way to build something better is to completely destroy what came before. The transmission ended, leaving the Council in darkness broken only by the emergency lighting and the sound of their own terrified breathing. Outside, through the chamber's great windows, the first human ships began to appear in the system, their hulls bearing the scars of 50 years in the darkness, their weapons charged with the fury of the exiled and the wisdom of the dead. Alexandra Chen had kept her promise. She had come back, and she had brought judgment with her.